You also have a player in your column, and then some additional fielding data metrics, and we see here we have. So I will tell you what is these and all, and see. Like we have price checker also, got a price checker, which are we are going to populating. Once we learn how to use index and match and combine the two, and then we have got a scroll chart. So what we are going to be a really awesome tool that we are going to build using the offset function. We're going to create a chart that can be scrollable and zoom mobile and dynamic, and basically do stuff that most people would never think Excel is capable of. So really excited to share that. So but jumping back to the concept of named arrays, let's show an example. Let's go to the fielding data tab. So let's talk about the named arrays now. If I want to use this entire array on this tab for something like a lookup function, what I can do is uh, click click A1. So if I want to look up a so if you want to use this entire array on this tab for something like a lookup function, like I want to do a lookup function, what I can do is I can click on A1, then I will press control and shift, then arrow right, then arrow down. So I have got the entire array selected in the in that click. So I did not do it properly, I guess. First A1, control shift. Wait, it's taking entire one. Okay. So for first way to define this as a named array, and stick click on this box here, which is the named box name box, and just give it a name. I'm going to call it here. We will give a one name here. I'm going to call it as fielding. And now, if you go into formulas, tab, it should not change. One second. So now if I go into formulas tab, click the name manager. Here I have name manager. Okay, you go to new and create a new name, that is fielding. So you can see it has created a new named array called fielding that refers to the fielding data tab A1 through uh, A1 through 12,000. You can see here A1 through 12,056, which is exactly what we have just selected. So I'm going to show you one another way. So delete this. So I will show you how to create another way in another way. So delete. Okay, close it. Now instead the other option is to start in the formulas 10. Mm, so in the formula we have another this thing called define name. More fun. Mm, okay, leave that. Uh, Other one is like shift control. So this is all enough just to go on name manager and click on new and give the this thing fielding. Then you can see it has selected the entire this thing. So if you want to uh, create according to the like you can edit this also. You can just pick this and here you can select whatever you want. Like you do want till 12,056 cell, you just want till 100, that also you can give. And and okay, and just click on okay, then give, like here you can give some comments. This is fielding data. You can see it has created that. So it created a new name named called that refers to a one throughout G 12,056. So all right, so I want to start with some of the simpler lookup reference functions. So from so we are in talk row column which typically aren't actually used on their own. So So let's talk about the row functions, row columns, which typically aren't actually used on their own. They are typically used as components of larger, more complicated formulas, but they do serve a very interesting this thing, and in some cases, very useful purpose. Like the row function simply returns the row number of a given reference. So let's see that. Next is the in the same way the column function returns the column number of a given reference, while the columns function returns the number of columns in a given array or array formula. So let us see that. So if I give here like a row of maybe D3, enter, so you can see it is a third row.
I did not understand, ma'am.
No, no, yeah, yeah. I'll tell.
Can you please repeat it so that I can?
Sure, sure. See, if I give the row function and if let me give the cell F15, so it will give the in which row it is. Okay, so
Okay,
it will
got it.
give 15th row.
Okay, okay.
So in the same way, if you give the rows, then it will give the how many rows are there in a given array. So if you give here rows and you have to mention the uh, array here, so we'll mention a1 throughout maybe e18. So the in these many there are how many 18 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 till 18. So if I enter it should give me 18. So
Okay, it
row,
will tell you the total number. how many
Yes,
rows are there?
total number of rows for rows. But
Okay.
if you give only singular row, it will tell in which row that cell is there.
Okay, okay. Got it.
Okay. So same with the
Same
column
way it is
also.
for column. Yeah, okay.
Mm. So if you give column and if you give the cell reference, now it is G8. So if you so it is in the seventh column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's in the seventh column. If you give columns and if you give the array, maybe A3 to G20, A3 colon to G20. So it will tell how many columns are there in that array. So there are also seven because
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that is the uh, this thing of a row and columns. So next is so next we'll see what is VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So let us start by talking about two of the most common yet powerful lookup functions in Excel. VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. These are generally used when you need to combine two different data arrays with a common field. So for instance, if I have product level data in one array where I have quantity and product ID, and then I have another array of data with the same product and the price information, and I want to merge those data sources so that I have quantity id and price all in one spreadsheet. The lookup is a great tool to use. So there are a few components of the lookup function. It starts with a lookup value. So this is the value that you are trying to match. So this is the value that you are trying to match, and it's typically the common field that exists between the two arrays, the source and the lookup array. The second component is the lookup array. So this is where you are trying to find the lookup value. And the third piece is the column index number. So in your table array, when you're looking for your lookup value, which column of data would you like to return? So that's typically where your variable is that you're trying to pull into your first source array. And then last but not the least, you have a range lookup, which basically just says you're trying to match the exact lookup value or something similar. So if you're trying to look up the exact value which you will use for the text strings or on words, you will put a zero or the word false. Otherwise, you can put one. For instance, if you're looking up a number with a bunch of decimal places and you don't need to match it like exactly, you could use that but just so you know, 99% of time you're going to use a zero or exact as you arrange lookup. So don't worry, we'll see an example. So in this example here again, I have this product level data that it just described, and in one array I have got the product name, quantity and product id, and in my second array I have got, wait, I will show you. So here I have product, quantity, product ID, and price. Here I have product and so as you can see, product and price I have here. So there is the common one. The common thing is the product here is the common field between these two arrays. And what I want to do is find the price in my lookup array and pull it into my source array. So in cell dx2, so in cell D2, what I'm going to say, we look up whatever is in a 2, which happens to be the product t-shirt within my table. So let's see, I want to look up A2 in H, H1 to L2. I have to give this entire array in which I'm trying to look up, and the this thing is 2. That is 1 2. The column is in the second row down. Don't worry if you're not understanding now. We will take an example and we'll check.
Yes.
Okay. So it's going to go row by row until it finds the lookup value, which in this case it's finding the in row 5, like it will go row by row. So it will go till, oh my god, looking this. So this is the lookup value. A2 t-shirt is the lookup value, and this is the table array from G1 to H5. Then column index, we want price to get populated here. So which column we need? Price. So what is the index of that column? 1 to 2. And then 0. Just are you typing 2, or are you trying to match the exact lookup value 0 or something similar? If you want to match the exact value, then you will give 0, or a similar one also,
It will
1.
give the option now. It will give the option now that if you want the exact match or the false match, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So let us see the example. And it finds the value of 1499. So here you can see t-shirt has of $14.99, and it will get populated here 14.99. So we want a exact match, we don't want something similar. So it will populate that in the D2. And then as you apply this lookup table down, it going to be looking up for, like if you drag here, if you click on the right bottom corner, then it will populate for the rest of the cells. So that's VLOOKUP. HLOOKUP works almost exactly the same way, but what is the differences? It's really the same syntax. The only difference is that you need to use an HLOOKUP if you're looking. Lookup array is transposed, which is this is what VLOOKUP is vertical, like this it will be. You can see the table is vertical. But if you want to look up transposed, listed in variables, headers listed in rows, if you want to check in that,
Rather
then
going down, I can go from right, right?
horizontal. Yes, yes. Give me a thought. So that is the difference between those two. So first will be, this is the, so first will be, there will be a value that you are trying to match in the table array. Then you will give the table a full array. This is where you are looking for the lookup value. Then which row contains the data, like first row or the second row. Then next same thing, exact lookup value 0 or something similar. So here we have an example, D2 lookup. Here we are looking for A2 t-shirt in the array H1 to L2. So then it is in row 2. Price is in row 2, and we need an exact match. So we are giving 0. So t-shirt, it will check for by row by row, then it will populate here. So in the same way, if you click on the right bottom corner, then it will populate for remaining cells. So let us see one example. So another thing, two very important rules that you need to remember when you use the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP is, the first is that, one second. The first is that your lookup value has to be in the first column. If you are using a VLOOKUP or the first row, if you are using an HLOOKUP of your table array, so you can't have a table array that goes from column A to DX where your lookup values are in match. So you can see in this example, our lookup values in first column. So that should be that is the condition. So whatever you're trying to look up, that those things should be in the first row. So you can see here the first column, it starts from G1, and even here also the row also, it starts from H1. So that is the rule. So the next one is, so Excel will always return the value from the topmost row or leftmost column of a table array when multiple instances of the lookup value are present. So we'll see that also in the example. So you can see here. So let's say two line in a row had a t-shirt. So let's see, there are two instances of a t-shirt as the product with different prices. Then how it will work? So at that time, the VLOOKUP is going to stop the first time it finds the value it's looking for. In this case, t-shirt, and return the price in the second column over for that first instance. So it's not even going to know that where multiple instances common to both data sets and unique for every. So don't worry, we'll see an example now. At that time, you will get to know. So let us see an example. So let us see joining data with VLOOKUP. Okay. And HLOOKUP, let's actually use it. So it's really hard to really learn these formulas until you practice them on real time. So let's go ahead and get some hands-on practice using the VLOOKUP function. Open up the, we have section 5 and lookup reference Excel doc, and we will work out there. And, so we have here hitting data, which is organized by player by year with a number of hitting metrics from column C through N. So and then similarly, I have a fielding data. So let me delete this tab by player by year with additional fielding metrics here. So the goal of this exercise is going to be to pull in those fielding data metrics into columns O to H. So here we have hitting data here. So we want to populate these columns O to O from the this sheet, fielding data sheet. So this is going to be like my source or master. So hitting data will be my source or master data tab that joins those two sets of metrics together in one place. So what I can't do is just to start writing a VLOOKUP function on the player name, for instance, as my lookup value, because I have the data by year as well. So if I looked up the player name in the fielding data array, so if I, it's going to find the first instance of that player. If you played in 2010, for instance, but ignore any later instances. So if I have a player who exists in the data set 5 times, because he had played at 5 times, so you can see this person or bureau, like Abrubo01 has played. So it is all of 2010 only. Yeah, we have 2012 also. So you can see he has played twice in 2010. 2010 here also we have, he has twice. So what it will do, if we have many instances, it will look up only for the first instance, and it will ignore the other instances. So how many times it exists, it will just give the first possibility, and it will not give other. So the first step that we need to do is create a key column. So so in hitting data, right click and insert a column to the left of column A. So here I will create a new column. So insert column to the left of the column A and call it key. And to define this function or this new dimension, I'm going to write equals v2 ampersand. So I'm concatenating this ampersand c2. I will tell you why I'm doing this. So this is called a concatenating function, and it just mashes those text strings together to create a new unique field. So if I hit enter here, and if I, so yeah, let me, so it will concatenate those two cells, and it will merge those, and it will give a new unique value. So there is two things that's important here. One, it's unique. There is only one instance of each of these values in this entire column. So if you see, so then it will become unique. Mm, wait. So there is only one instance of each of these values in this entire column. So and two, then it's in the first column, column A. That's very important. If you remember the first rule of the lookup function. So I'm going to jump to fielding data and do the exact same thing. New column A, call it, I will create a new column. Insert column left, and here also I will tell key. So here also I will concatenate these two cells to make it unique. Now I have got my unique common key between both tabs that I can use for lookup data. So the next step that I like to do is to just say, all right, let's jump to my lookup data and find which fields or which variables I'm looking to pull into my master sheet. So and it's going to be these five. So I want to pull these five. Let me POS from D to D, from D to H. So these columns I want to pull here. I'm just going to paste them as placeholders, and this is where all my VLOOKUP functions are going to live. So let's start with the position column P. I'm just going to start writing a VLOOKUP here in the POS. So VLOOKUP equals VLOOKUP function. Open the parenthesis, and I lookup value is going to be whatever my key is here. So whatever key is here. So A2 comma and table array where I'm trying to find this player key name. So that is in fielding data. I want to find this player in the fielding data. Click on this fielding data from A1 all the way over, all the way down to H12. This thing H12. uh, H12, right? So what I did now, since I want only this array, I told fielding data A1, that is shift control, then I pressed on right arrow key, it's selected till this H, and then I pressed down arrow key. So it's selected till 12,050, that is end of this array. So I'm going to press F4, which fixes the entire array in place. So it will make which has to be relative, which has to be reference and all. 1 second. So when I pressed F4, you can see we have got the dollar symbol here. So that I can apply this lookup formula down once I have written it and not have this data array shift along with it. So that then press comma, then we have to give the column in index also. So So what the metric I'm going to fill up is 1, 2, 3, 4. That is pause. You can see here pause I want to fill up, and the index of the POS is 4. And the exact match I need. That is exact match. I can write false or 0. Then I will close the parenthesis. Press enter. So you can see it has filled the data. So
I
it has
wanted to
to.
ask one thing, that do we have to really compulsorily write the keynote first, like the combination of B2 and C2?
See, if it is if there are repetition of values at that time, you need to write. Okay.
Okay, otherwise I can usually use the VLOOKUP formula, right?
Yes, you can use if the
Can we do this
key.
again so that I can memorize, or I can at least sum up?
So you want me to repeat it again?
Repeat the VLOOKUP formula the way you did right now.
Okay, okay. First
Just a
we'll write
repeat.
yeah, sure. First, I will give the V lookup. Then I will mention which value I want to look up. So in this case, between two tabs, this player name and the year is similar. So if you check here, player and the year, these two columns are similar. So what I will do, since there are duplicates, I will concatenate those things and make it as a unique. Then what my goal is to populate these five columns in this data. After so I have pos pt outs that I want to populate from this data to my source sheet. So my source sheet would be hitting data and my lookup sheet will be fielding data. So I will give this my source sheet. From this I want to find out the lookup value. So I will give the a2 comma, then I will go to my lookup array, that is fielding data. Here what I will do, let me delete this and do it again. We lookup. So my lookup value is a2 and my lookup array lives in fielding data. So I will go to fielding data. Here I will press shift control and I will press right arrow to select it till end of the this right end of this sheet. Then I will press again shift control, then down arrow. It will select the down, the dead end of this sheet. So it has selected the entire array. So then to make it to solve the problem of relative and reference, I will press F4. So it will fix those rows and columns which should not change, which should not shift. So then I will give the column index. So I want to populate this column. Pause. I want to populate
Or
this
four, number
column,
four.
yeah, values to my hitting data tab. So I will give 4, then I need exact match, then I will give 0. Then I will press enter. Then it will populate all those pause values from fielding data to my hitting data. So if I press on the right bottom corner, then it will populate for rest of the cells. So the same
Okay,
way
got
I
it.
will do. Okay, in the same way I will do for the rest of the columns also. Let me just copy this formula and I will paste it here. Here I need to just change the column name, I mean column index. It should be 5, right?
Yes,
So
because we are writing
yes,
putouts.
yes, put outs. So you can see here
Okay.
it has. So in the same way you can populate for rest of the columns
Yeah,
also.
it is easy to populate the data from one sheet to another.
Yes. So in the same
Okay.
way here also copy paste.
Got it, ma'am. We can continue with the horizontal lookup.
Yeah, sure. One second. I'll copy for rest of the things also because it will
Okay.
help in while working for other concepts.
Horizontal. Okay, okay.
So Okay, we have V looked up for every cell. Then what I'm going to do, let us check, let us work with the, so next is, so fixing errors with if error and we look up, like how we can fix the error if we get during while working with the we look up, that we will see. Okay. So I have showed you how to use an if statement in the Excel. So I have showed you how to use an if error also statement back in the logical operator section. So I want to revisit that and show you how it works. So the exact same way, no matter what formula are using. So in this case, we're going to apply it to the VLOOKUP function, and we have already written VLOOKUP function. So we've already written, but it's important to revisit it also. So, but it's important because it becomes more and more relevant and useful as you start applying it to lookup in reference functions, especially for instance, if you don't have an exact one-to-one match, so between your data in your source table and your lookup table, that's going to drive an NA value. And in this case, with the data that we're actually using, I know for a fact that we are going to drive errors because there are players who show up in the hitting data tab, but will not show up in the fielding data tab. We have some players which are in hitting data but not in fielding data. So if I scroll down, so you can see here NA. So what to do at that time? See, this person can this person is not there in the fielding data because they only hit for instance. So when the VLOOKUP function tries to find the pair in the lookup array, which is in our fielding data tab, it's going to come up empty handed and return in NA. So let's see if that's actually if that's actually happening. First thing I need to do is just apply filters, add to the rest of the columns that we just created. So I'm going to select a row. So I'll tell you what I'm doing. So let me go up. I'll select this row. Then uncheck filter. Mhm. Where is the filter here? Should have not updated this. It has changed all the format. Uh, view formula bar, view headlines, full screen, filter. Mm, okay. and then check it. So I have unchecked the filter tab and then check it again. That will just reapply the filters. So let me apply the filter again. And now if I look at any of the columns where return this VLOOKUP function, so I scroll right. So I will, so let me click on the drop down list. So there are any errors. So I will say there are 32 any errors. So what I will do here in the formula, I will give in the place of VLOOKUP, I will give if error. So the same way it will work how we did the last time. If error. So this will be the condition. So if this is the condition, then what would be the result? So if this is true, then I this is one condition, and the other condition is other if there is other characters at that time. So what it should do, so let me close the parenthesis. Okay. So now if I drag it, you can see in the place of NA I should be having other now. Yeah, see. So like that you can handle with if error. In the same way we can do for others also, but not now. Okay, we'll do for others also. Okay, so it has changed all any to other, I guess. Yes, it has changed. Okay, so let's see. Then we look up reference array options. So let's see other thing. So so if you want, you can have a 5 minutes break and come back by 9:45 if you want.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Okay. I want to talk about one another tweak that we can make to the table array and two other approaches that we can use, which can be beneficial in certain situations. So right now we have written our lookup with a fixed table array. So that's not a problem. So right now lookup is looking for the lookup value within the array from A1 to H through H. So if you see the formula, so the lookup function is trying to look up this value in the fixed array from A1 to H. So 12,056 cells they are there. So and exactly that array. There are two other approaches we could take. The first is to use a named array. So if you recall in one of the early lectures in this section, we created a named array based on our based on our fielding data. So on this we had created a named array. So but if you recall, when we created it, we hadn't defined this key column A yet. So what we have to do now, so if you actually select B1 through column H, so if I select this B1 through column H, and if I press Control Shift down, so you can see there has come named array by fielding. So we have, since we had created this named array, so it is giving me fielding here. So it's basically shifted my name to uh, array over, and in this case my lookup array needs to include column A because that's where my lookup values are going to live. So what I can do is go into the formulas tab, and I'll go to formulas tab, name manager, Here is my fielding array that we created. I'm going to edit that. Or I'm going to do is change the B1. So here you can see there is B1. So I will change it to maybe A1. If I do that, so let me press OK. So now if I select A1 and press Control Shift it down, and then here, so you can see, 1 second. Okay, press A2 instead of A1. You can see the named array has been changed to fielding for entire, including the key column also. So this is how you will edit it, the named arrays. So now that we have made that little tweak, now I can go back to the lookup and just jump into the table array. So we need not give these many values. So you see here fielding data, we need not give these many values. Just we'll change it. So let me change it. I just need to give the named array here. So if I give that also, it should work. See, it has worked. So this also, there is no any space, so remove the space also. What for this? S3, how come S3 came? Okay. So you understood, right, how to use the named arrays?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So next go to the next. We'll see approximate match look. Now we saw what is exact match look. Now we'll see what is approximate match look. So now before we move on to the index and match and offset functions, there is one other topic related to the VLOOKUP that I would like to quickly address, and that's the final argument in the formula called range lookup, where you determine either true for proximate match or false for exact match. So now I mentioned that. The next tab is fuzzy, yeah, fuzzy match. So now I mentioned that 99% of the time you will use exact match there as it sounds. But there are some times, so that's exactly what you use when you want to find the exact version of your lookup in your table array. But what if that's very common when you are trying to match key columns or text fields, but depending on the type of work that you do, there are some very useful and common use cases where approximate or fuzzy match takes place, maybe actually more appropriate. So what approximate or fuzzy match does is it allows you to determine where a specific lookup value falls within a range of values. So instead of just trying to find an exact match, this will tell Excel to find the closest match that's what equal to or less than your lookup value. So now just to show you exactly how that works, what I have done here is created some data with some order IDs and order amounts, and there are order ID and order amounts, and in the tab called fuzzy match lookup, which we have recently added. So if you don't see, we have a discount also. Okay, okay, but basically. So what we have here is we have 25 odd sample odd orders, so 26, but we have one uh, headline also. So there are basically there are a sample of 25 orders. We have got random IDs here in column A. So now the key is this little lookup table. Here we have a little lookup table that I have created, and cells E1 through G5, and this is basically a discount schedule. It tells us that for orders between 0 to $24.99 there should be no discount applied, but if you spend more than $25 you get 5% discount. If you spend more than 50 you get 10% off, and if you spend more than 100 you will get 20% off. And this is pretty common realistic structure that a lot of retail companies use in the real world, and our goal here is to pull in the proper discount right here in the column C based on our order amounts. So we have order amount as $82, so it falls under 50 to 99 amount, so the person should get, the order ID should get 10% discount. So this is how we want to check for the approximate match. So at this range, if this amount falls, then it should apply this discount. So that we will fill in the column C, and we know that a lookup function is going to be used helpful here because we are trying to retrieve the table values for another table. So this is a different table and this is another different table. So but the problem is, if we try to type a traditional VLOOKUP and say let's find the order amount within uh, within the our table array, here note that table array starts from E to G. So there are just still labels for my own purposes. What I'm looking to do is actually look up from column F and return the value in column G. Okay, so don't worry, we'll see that. So here I'll give VLOOKUP. So I want to look up this value B2 from F2 to G5. This is the table array, and then press F4 to make it to log that in, and I want the value from the second column over. So this is the second column, and then so if I give the exact match, then what it will happen? It will give me any, because there is no yeah, exact match here, right? So it is inevitable that we will get this answer only, that is as expected, because there is no exact match of that in this value. So at that
Okay.
time we have to find for the, we should go for the approximate match. So how we can go? So this is a perfect opportunity to use that fuzzy match or approximate match option by simply changing the last argument from a 0 to a 1, or a true. So here I will change it from 1 or true, you can give, and give enter. So you can see 10% discount. So the person who
Okay.
had spent $82 should get 10% discount. So it has done the, so it has achieved our purpose. So you can see, and the person who had spent less than $24 should not get any discount. So there is 0% discount, and then $93 10%. So the person who has spent more than 100 should get 20% discount. So this is the
Correct.
place where you will use the approximate match. Okay. So the
Okay.
next concept is navigating cell ranges with index. So navigating cell ranges with index. So the next lookup reference function that I want to share with you is called index. And before we even jump in, just to hear me out. So I know this is going to feel like one of those functions where you read it, you see, in index means it will return the place of that, this thing, cell, that we will think, but that is not the case. So all right, like why am I ever going to need to use the index function? What it does is so simple that there are a dozen easier ways to do it. So, and you are right, the fact is, it just like row and column, it's one of those functions that no one ever uses by itself. So for that very reason, it's so simplistic. But once you start combining it and using index as a component of other formulas, you can open the door of many possibilities to start doing some very cool things. So I promise it will pay off. So just hear me out. So the index function by itself, and all it does is return the value of a specific cell within an array. So you're just saying, hey Excel, here is this array of data, or array of cells. I want you to move down to row number 5 and column number 3, and tell me the value that you get. That's it. So see, this is the array, that is A1 to C5. A1 to C5. In this array, the person wants to find what is the value lives in fifth column, I mean fifth row and third column. So and it will give 234. You can see the array here, A1 to C5, and fifth row and third column 1 2 3. So what is the value? 234. that it gives, but this no one will use as itself. So it will be used in as a component of formula. It will be helpful where you work with complex formulas. So let's see how to work with it. So syntax wise, the index of formula has three components. First is the what range of cells you are looking at, then how many rows down is the value you want, and how many columns over is the value you want. So that is the syntax of the index. So next is see, let us see matching text and values with match. So next up, we have got the match function, which is just like index. It's very simple. You're not likely at all to use it on its own, but rather as a component for the complex of formulas. So the match function kind of works in the opposite way of index. It returns the position of a specific value within a column or row. So in plain English, basically you are saying arrayed Excel, I am looking for this value, whether it's a word or a number or whatever, within this column or within this row, and it will return the position of that value. So, three components it has: match function, the lookup value, lookup array, and the match type. Lookup value, what value are you trying to find the position of? So and then lookup array, you have to give the array, and match type, are you looking for the exact value or the approximate value? So I have an example here, match pilers. So this is the lookup value. I will give the array, and then I will give the exact match or the approximate match. So pilers is in the fourth row. Okay, so pilers is in the fourth row that it is giving me. And so here also you can see matching 66 number. Where is the 66 number I want to see? And it is in the third row. You can see. So it will give the position of that value, whatever you're given as the lookup value. So this is the index and the match function. So let's see an example combining index and the match to dynamically populate. So let us see one example for both the index and match. Okay. So we talked about match. Now it's time to talk about how to combine them to do some really cool stuff. So in fact, when you combine them, they act as almost like a lookup function, but in some cases with even more flexibility, so they can find values in any column or any row within a given array. So let's take a look an example. It's a little tricky to wrap your head around, like in terms of words, like you may not understand it properly. We'll have a practical example also, hands on.
Yeah, it seems very complicated right now here, the theoretical view.
Yes, theoretical way it looks, but no worries, we'll see an example also.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we are going to write an index function, but we are going to nest match function. So you can see we have written an index function, in that we have nested the two match functions here within it. So in this case, we are saying, all right, Excel, let's find a specific price within this little price array. So I want to, this is a little price array. I want to find the specific price from B2 to B4 through B4. So it's going to say index and that array, that is B2 to D4, but rather than just saying move to the third this thing argument, row down, and the second column, so b6. Wait a second. B6 is, so this I want to check. So match. So match is the this thing which will give the position of that. So match B6 from A2 to A4. A2 to A4, and we need exact match. And then match B8 from B1 to D1. So this is something H lookup horizontal transpose, and we need for the exact match. Okay, considering the output of each match function, the formula is just a simple index. So the output of this B6 lives in the where it lives, B third position. One second. One second. And two. So index value will give the value of that index, and the match value will give the position of that value, right? See, B2 to D4, $30 should give. The number of rows down to index depends on what product I'm looking for. So we use a match function and search for the value in cell B6. In this case, pants. Okay. Then the number of columns over to index depends on what size I'm. So we use a match function and search for the value in cell B8. What is B8? Okay. In this case, medium. Here it is giving third column. Second column it is giving. Okay. Let me explain you this. So what it's saying, it's going to say in index that array B2 to D4, but rather than just saying move to the third row down, move to the third row down and the second column.
Ma'am, we can do it practically, so it would be less time consuming.
Yes, sure.
It is difficult to understand here. Better to have a practical example, so we can wind it off.
Sure. One second. Yeah, price checker example we have here. Okay. So here product I will give as maybe pants, and the size I want medium. So I want the price of this pants of medium, that 26 I need. Okay, so we have added some data validation because I want the user to do this. So in the option for sizes, rather than having to type it, okay, we will give a data validation here. So it will be a practice for you. So I'm just going to select B10, and then in the data we have data validation. We have in any value. So so here we'll give list, and then for source we'll say b b3 to b7, and then we will click on the picker, and I will give okay. So here you will get the socks, and for the same thing for price also I will go again for the validation, then any value here list, then I will pick. So the size will be from this. Okay, so here also you can see. Okay, we have got, so we can select the items from there. So I want to check the price of the socks. For the size is small, so likewise I can shorts, then I can medium, anything I can. So what I'll do, I'll put for socks, I want to find a price for the small. So that's step one. Step two is writing the index formula. So I will write index. So then I'll give the array of prices. Uh, that is C3 to G7. So from here till here. So this is the pricing array. So then I will lock it with the help of F4. Then I will put comma. Then I have to give the row number also. So then how many rows down? So and again it doesn't make sense. Just tell Excel, row 1, 2, 3 or 4, because it's a function of functions. So it's a function of what product the user has selected. So I'm going to insert a match function. So what I will write, I will insert a match function. And when I say match the value that users put in cell, I want to match the value that users put in cell B10. And where I'm going to look for it in the list of products from B3 to B7. So I will tell from B3 to B7 that list of products lives. Okay. Next is, so that right now I have socks selected. This will output the number one because it will select, it will give the output number one because it is the in the number one position, because it is first in that array. It's in the first row within that, and so the index function will stay on row one, which is what we need not least match type. I'm going to, so next is we need the exact match, so I will give 0. Can it close that off, and that match function is done. So this is done. Ayyo. Then again we'll put another comma to write the match function for the price now. Now I'm in column number component of my index formula. So I'm going to just to insert, so this is the column number. So I'm just to insert another match function. Now we are going to look up what size the user cares about, or what size the user has selected come over. So it is C10. Now we have to give the lookup array, that is from column wise, that is from C to G2. Then we need a exact match. So let's finish off this by closing another parenthesis. So you can see $4.25 socks and small, it has given me $4.25. So if you want to evaluate the formula, like if you want to see what it is doing step by step, you can check. So this is the formula. So in the next step, the this match function, you can see the first match function has been solved. So B10 value, it has populated with the socks. This value has come and sat. Then B3 to B7 has remained the same. So in the next step, so it has found that it lives in the first position. So socks is in the first position. So it is giving me 1. Then it is going for the next match. So in the next match for C10, the small has come and sat here, and the array remains same. From C2 to G2, small lives in the second place. So if you can see, it is in the second place. So what is in the index 1 and 2? So 1 is this from C3. So it is looking from C3 to G7, and it is taking 1 and 2. That is $4.25. So did you get this? If you want, we can take another example also. Large I will. So you can see here we have shorts and large is $13.5. So if you want to evaluate the formula, so evaluate it. Can see shorts and comments at shorts is in second place, so it has given the second place. Then the next match function large, so it is in the fourth position. Large is in the 1 2 3 4, it is in the large position. So the index, so this is from B3 to B7. So second position is shorts. What is the index of shorts? And then fourth position is large. So it will give the value of that index, that is 2 and 4. What is the this thing? Value exists between C3 to G7, that is $13.50. So is this, so did you
Yeah,
Understand?
I understood it, but I really need to get a hands on this formula because it is quite time
Mm-hmm.
taking, and it has to be, done
Mm-hmm.
very slowly, and
Okay.
it's
See,
a lot
like
on
if
this.
you get any doubt while
Yes,
practicing, you
while
can ask me.
practicing, yeah, I can
Hmm.
ask you tomorrow if it is okay.
See, why we are giving C3 to G7 means the price value lives in this, right?
Yeah, the array table, right?
So we are giving the price array. Then we are giving
Yeah,
the we need the product. So a product lives in this thing.
in the
First
B
we will
call,
give the
B.
lookup value. Lookup value lives in B10,
Yeah,
right? Then we'll give the this thing B3 to B7. The lookup
B7.
value lives in the range of B3 to B7. That we need the
Yeah,
exact match,
exact
so we are giving
match.
0. Then we are giving match another match for the column wise, not for the row
Yeah.
wise, for the
Hmm.
column wise. Then C10, it lists from C2 to G2.
Yeah.
So like this it works.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
next is the what is the next one? Combining match and this thing. This is of 10 minutes. So I think we cannot do this. Like I should be in a hurry burry. So shall we continue tomorrow? The next topic.
Yes, no problem. Tomorrow would be